known Pete for a long, long time. Pete's worked with our academy for the last 4 years and has a really great knowledge of leadership concepts and styles, and really helps our kids in their understanding of what their responsibilities are as leaders, and also how to get those things from what they know to their teammates and to their classmates and the people in the community in every of those positions that they lead. So we're happy to have Pete here. Pete will introduce our other speaker here in a second. So Pete, it's all yours.
Thank you. All right, everybody stand up and give a big, no, I'm kidding. We're not going to do, I'm not the morning hug type of guy. I just kind of want to so if people get a little nervous. We're not doing that kind of stuff. This is not a situation. You can certainly give someone a hug next if that's what you feel like you need to do. That's not the kind of presenter I am. If you thought that you were going to come here to get some metaphysical experience, or we were going to talk about the law of attraction or the secret or something like that, you're in the wrong room. What I tend to do is I share some principles, some ideas, some strategies, and the hope is that you can take that for what it is, you can share it, you can agree with it, you can disagree with it, and use it to kind of hone your own leadership style. The other thing that I like to point out is that as I look around the room, I know that there are people here who have 30 or more years of coaching experience, and the more experience you can bump into, I think, the better your coaching and teaching and leading becomes. And so my hope is that today you will not only listen and learn, but hopefully be willing to share what you feel like you've learned over the years, even though sometimes things work for you and sometimes things don't. And hopefully you can share that with people and you can bounce ideas off everybody, and that's going to make this a lot more valuable for you. I wanted to, first of all, actually let me start by introducing Adam Herman. Of course, I'm sure you recognize the last name. This is Tim's son, Adam. Adam, I got to know Adam back when Adam was a young man, probably middle school, high school, and I've watched him grow, and I've been so impressed with what he's done throughout his career. Started off in Central Michigan, actually started off at NDSU, correct? Went on to Central Michigan, and now is the Director of Sports Performance at Boise State University. And when I heard that, I said, at some point we got to get Adam in to talk with the group. And so he agreed to fly out here and make that happen for you today. I think that's just a huge honor for us. And when you get to know Adam, you get to see him today, you'll understand why I think it's an honor. I wanted to just quickly run through an introduction to the program that I offer and deliver to students. And specifically, I've done a lot of it at White Bear, I've done it at North Branch, done it up in Wadena, done it at Champlain Park. We've kind of done it all over the place. But I wanted you to at least see what it is your students and athletes at White Bear are getting, and hopefully you'll have a little bit better understanding of what I do. Okay? So, the first morning, hopefully you got a name tag here. If not, feel free to. So it's really it's a 7-session program that starts today, and we start off by teaching and talking about the mindset of really effective leaders. And one of the first things that we talk about is something that we'll talk about in here today. I'll give you a little bit of an idea, a little bit of a taste of it today. We talk about the concept of locus of control. Does that term ring a bell to anybody? Locus of control? Well, if it does or if it doesn't, the term locus, of course, just means like location. Control obviously means control. So the concept is, psychologically, some people believe that the control of the events in their life are located either within themselves or outside of themselves. We call that locus of control. So a person with a strong internal locus of control would feel that internally they're controlling events. Robert, if I asked Robert to raise your right hand, if you could just do that for me, okay, and then you could be like shocked. You'd be like, Robert, how did you do that? You say, well, I just raised my right hand. I can control what goes on in my body because internally I control things. Now if I said, Robert, go outside and do a backflip. Could you do that? Could you do it in here?
No.
He could try, he said.
I need a soft,
You need a soft landing
landing
spot.
spot.
Good idea. Okay, bottom line is, whether he thinks he has control or not, we all have this gradation of where we believe control is located. If we think control is located within us, we say we have a strong internal locus of control. So if you think that your improvement as an athlete, say for example, if you're going to improve, you think you have control over that, then you have a strong internal locus of control. If you think that your performance as an athlete is dependent on the officials, the coaching, the wrestling mat surface, the weather, if you think that your performance as an athlete is dependent on all those things, then you would say that you have a strong external locus of control. And that's something that we go through in depth. So I think it's important to point out that I understand that everyone in here, well, typically people in leadership positions have a strong internal locus of control. And we sometimes have a hard time believing that there are people that don't share that with us. So we'll do a little exercise later on to just kind of examine that a little deeper. Then later on, or the next session, usually we go into some goal setting. We talk about setting a goal. As a leader, your goal is really to get people pointed in the same direction. And if you can do that, you don't have to manage every little nitpicky thing that you have to take care of, because everybody knows our goal is to get to state. Our goal is to, whatever your goal happens to be, right? Our goal is to provide and create an organization where lots of good things happen for people, or something like that. That's our goal. So if you get everybody pointed in one direction, you don't have to manage every little nitpicky thing. That's kind of the second thing that we deal with. Then we run them through some scenarios. And I can share with you guys some of the scenarios that we will be running through this year, but some of them are pretty tough questions, for kids especially. We talk about, I'll just present the scenario, and then I'll ask them a question, like, how would you react if this occurred? Something real simple. Have you ever been in a vehicle when someone else was texting and driving, and you were, say, sitting in the passenger seat, and then maybe you kind of feel them swerve a little bit? Have you ever had that experience? Yeah, I've had that experience too. And it's tough because you don't want to seem like that person that's going to be telling you what to do. Like, Tom, put your phone away. What are you nuts? That's a kind of an awkward position to be in. And so as leaders, we try to develop the strategies and gather up the information that you would need to come up with a strategy to get Tom to put his phone away. So how would I do that? I don't know, maybe like, hey Tom, you want me to send that text for you? Or something like that. So we go through those kinds of scenarios. That's just one of the scenarios. We go through scenarios like, okay, one of your better friends comes to you and says, hey, I know you know this, but I'm thinking about maybe I should let the team know that I'm homosexual. And that's a question now that I put in front of the leadership group. Say, what would you do? How would you handle it? How would you deal with that? So those are some of the scenarios that we go through. Then I ask them to do a little bit of reading. And by the way, I give them a workbook at the beginning. They'll be getting it today. I have a few here if you want to see them. I don't have enough really to give out, but I do have some older versions of it. If anybody wants it, they're on my truck, but I can get it for you later. If you just want to see it or take a look through it, you're welcome to it. I asked them to do just a little bit of reading. I offer them this book called The 7 Parables All Leaders Need to Know. You actually can't get that on Amazon because I wrote it, and I really just wrote it for this kind of stuff. I don't publish it. I don't really have it out there. I've thought about doing it. I just haven't done it yet. But I do have a few copies of that, and that actually is in the workbook too. But it's basically just stories about leadership, and then we just asked how they relate. Then the next two sessions, what I do really is I give them a couple of quotes, and I say, these are quotes of fairly famous leaders, usually. I say, okay, react to this quote. So the quote might be, in order to be effective, or in order to be successful, you have to become comfortable with discomfort. That's said by a guy by the name of Randy Hansen. Randy's not actually a famous guy, he's a pretty influential wrestling coach where I grew up. In order to be successful, you have to become comfortable with discomfort. And then we say, okay, discuss. Or what I would do is say, go ahead and I would pick one person. I'd say, Carl, what do you think about that? Carl would stand up and Carl would tell us what he thought about that particular quote. So we go through that pretty quickly. We do that for two. Then at the very end, maybe you've even heard that we do this. I buy him dinner. We buy him dinner. We buy him dinner. Right? I don't think I paid for a couple of years.
I like the fact that you're buying.
Yeah, I know, this year. Well, I did fly out. Anyway, we buy dinner. And we have them sit down, have a nice meal. We give just a little talk. We'll always bring in a guest speaker. A couple of years ago, we brought in a guy from West Point. Last year, we brought in Tim Ross, who some of you might know if you listen to KFN radio. Tim is kind of the local like high school sports guru in terms of prep sports. He's kind of the know-it-all when it comes to that stuff. So last year Tim came in and gave a real nice talk. So that's the way we end it. It's a nice way to end it. We ask him to put on a suit and tie.
And moms and dads are invited.
Yep.
We get a ton of people there too.
Yep. It's a really nice way to end it. And by the end of it, you know, we reiterate, okay, you know, now you're a leader. Well, that's not exactly how it is, right? I mean, you're going to continue to develop your leadership skills throughout the course of your life. But that's how we do. So, speaking of leadership, that's actually kind of where I want to start today. I'm going to ask you just to do a little bit of reflection, a little bit of writing right now. You don't have to write. I mean, you have these notes in front of you. If it helps you to write stuff down, you know, please do. If you don't, if that's not the kind of thinker you are, you don't need to do that. But that's there to just kind of help guide you a little bit. Hopefully, everyone got that handout. If you didn't, they are up here. I want to kind of get right into that. 8:45. Look at your little program. That's when we're supposed to start this aspect. That's pretty impressive. Okay, I'm impressed with myself.